A former member of Counting on Jinger, Duggar has been doing interviews and podcasts to promote her new book. Last month, the 31-year-old published a book called People Pleaser: Breaking Free from the Burden of Imaginary Expectations. She has already received favorable comments on her memoir. However, it appears that Jinger has other stories to share beyond what is included in the book. Continue reading to find out what she said about having difficulties in the beginning of her marriage to Jeremy. Counting on. What is the subject of Jinger Duggar's most recent book? Jinger's most recent book, People Pleaser, discusses how she liberated herself from the pressure of other people's expectations. The Counting On star stated that she was raised in an environment where she had to meet the expectations of others rather than her own. Eventually, she came to the understanding that she could live her life however she wanted, but it took her a while to get there. The book also includes stories of Jinger's youth and early adulthood. In another tale she recounted in the memoir, she talked about how her mother, Michelle, played a big part in her resolve to break away. She also mentioned that Michelle helped her return to a healthy lifestyle after she had an eating issue. Jinger opens up about her marriage troubles. Jinger Duggar recently took part in an interview in which she discussed the challenges she faced in the early days of her marriage to Jeremy. The former Counting On star said that she was terrified of nearly everyone just after her wedding. She went on to say, "I believe that some of that is due to being in the public light, don't you think? You have a certain degree of self-protection. However, I came to the conclusion that it became quite harmful." Jinger then revealed that she was also afraid to go out with someone to get coffee or lunch because she was protecting herself from people who might criticize or misinterpret her. After 2 years, she finally came to the realization that she was afraid to communicate to her husband about the difficulties she was facing. She continued, "I attempted to maintain this ideal of being the perfect wife, and a lot of that came from being brought up in the system of Bill Gothard." Counting On. Jinger Duggar's ideal crossover. Jinger Duggar also posted clips from her most recent podcast episode on social media. The Counting On Alums podcast was particularly meaningful since she finally got to work with Tori and Zach Roloff from Little People, Big World. Jinger has remarked in the past that she has always wanted to meet the pair. Additionally, she mentioned in their podcast that they have a lot in common, particularly when it comes to living according to a specific ideal. The Duggar family gained widespread attention through their reality television show, 19 Kids and Counting, and its spin-off Counting On. Among the many members of the family, Jinger Duggar, one of the older daughters, has garnered attention for her path of independence and personal growth. From her strict upbringing in the Duggar household where the emphasis was on modesty and submission, to her eventual marriage to Jeremy, a former professional soccer player and pastor, Jinger's journey has been filled with highs and lows. As viewers followed Jinger's life, they saw a young woman who broke away from her family's traditions by choosing to marry a man with a different set of values and practices. While many fans were supportive of the couple's love story, recent statements from Jinger herself reveal that her marriage, though strong in many ways, has not been without its struggles. In this article, we explore the challenges Jinger Duggar has faced in her marriage, her personal growth, and how she has navigated the difficulties of balancing her upbringing with her life as a married woman. Background: the Duggar family's strict upbringing. Jinger Duggar's story begins within the walls of the Duggar family home, where she was raised with strong religious and conservative values. As the daughter of Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar, Jinger was part of a family that adhered to strict religious rules and a hierarchical view of relationships. Courtship, modesty, and the idea that women should be subservient to their husbands were core teachings. Jinger's upbringing was marked by a lack of personal freedom, as the Duggar children were expected to live according to a strict set of rules until marriage. This included limitations on what they could wear, how they could interact with the opposite sex, and where they could go. With marriage being viewed as the ultimate goal for young women, Jinger's future was largely shaped by the expectation that she would find a husband, marry, and then start a family of her own. Despite the rigid structure, Jinger stood out as one of the more independent-minded Duggar children. Unlike many of her sisters who seemed to embrace the traditional roles set out for them, Jinger sought to carve out her own path. This led to her meeting and eventually marrying Jeremy Vuolo, whose background and approach to life was a bit different from the Duggar family's way of life. Jinger and Jeremy's relationship, a break from tradition. Jinger's courtship with Jeremy was a departure from the Duggar family's typical approach to marriage. While the Duggars are known for their courtship model, where physical touch is limited and relationships are heavily monitored by the family, Jinger and Jeremy's relationship seemed to have more space for personal choice and individuality. Jeremy, a former professional soccer player and a pastor, had a more relaxed approach to life, and his worldview was different from the Duggars. For one, he was more open to modern-day conveniences and ideas, and this became a point of tension and also growth within their marriage. When the couple got married in 2016, Jinger was already in her mid-20s, an age at which many of her siblings had already married and started families. Their relationship was seen by many as a symbol of independence for Jinger, someone who was ready to move away from the conservative practices of her family. However, despite these differences, the couple appeared to be very much in love. They were also featured on Counting On, which continued to follow the lives of the Duggar children and their families after the conclusion of 19 Kids and Counting. As their relationship unfolded on television, fans were able to witness Jinger's transition into a married life that seemed very different from what she had known growing up. Challenges in marriage. The hidden struggles. Although Jinger and Jeremy's marriage appeared to be a fairy tale romance at first, in recent years, Jinger has opened up about the struggles they have faced. Marriage, as Jinger admits, has not been as easy as it seemed on television. In an interview and through her social media posts, Jinger has shared the challenges she has encountered as a young wife trying to adjust to a new life and partnership. One of the primary struggles Jinger has mentioned is the challenge of balancing her independent self with her role as a wife. Growing up in a family where the wife was expected to be the helper and defer to her husband's authority, Jinger has had to navigate how to reconcile this with a more equal partnership she and Jeremy strive for. While the Duggar household taught that men should lead and women should follow, Jinger's marriage to Jeremy has been one where mutual respect and partnership are key elements. However, this balance hasn't been easy to achieve. There have been times when Jinger questioned the norms and expectations of her upbringing. In her conversations with her husband, she has expressed that the helper role often felt restrictive and limiting. She has struggled with letting go of the deeply ingrained notion that women should always support and submit to their husbands' decisions without question. Jeremy, in turn, has had to adjust to understanding Jinger's individual needs and desires, something that the Duggar family dynamic did not always allow for. This shift in expectations was a difficult adjustment for both of them. In one interview, Jinger reflected on the importance of learning to communicate effectively and to not let preconceived ideas of gender roles determine the course of their relationship. Jinger's personal growth and the changing dynamics of her marriage. While the challenges in their marriage have not been easy, Jinger has grown through them. Part of this growth has come through learning how to communicate better with Jeremy. Both have learned to speak openly about their struggles and emotions, something that wasn't always modeled for them in their respective upbringings. Jinger's personal growth has been visible not just in her marriage, but in her day-to-day life. She has become more comfortable in her own skin, embracing a more modern lifestyle that contrasts with her past. Her style, her approach to parenting, and even her choice to move to Los Angeles with Jeremy for his work were all steps toward embracing a life that was more reflective of her own beliefs and desires. One of the most significant changes in Jinger's marriage has been how she and Jeremy have navigated their different cultural backgrounds. Jinger's upbringing in a family with 18 siblings was very much rooted in a rural, conservative, and religious worldview, while Jeremy's experiences as a professional athlete and pastor gave him a more progressive outlook. They have had to make compromises on everything from how they spend money to how they raise their children. Public perception versus private reality. Another challenge Jinger and Jeremy face is the scrutiny of public life. Being part of a famous family means that their personal lives are often on display for the world to see. While Jinger and Jeremy have tried to maintain a sense of normalcy and privacy, their lives are constantly being evaluated by fans and critics alike. The public's perception of their relationship can create pressure that affects how they interact and communicate. On Counting On, the couple's relationship was presented in an idealized way. However, as Jinger has gotten older and more reflective, she has realized that marriage isn't always perfect. As someone who grew up with the expectation that her marriage would be a certain way, Jinger has had to adjust her own ideas about what it means to have a fulfilling relationship. This has been a process of growth and self-discovery, which she has shared with her followers through social media and interviews. Jinger's transparency about her struggles has made her more relatable to her fans, many of whom also experience challenges in their own marriages. Through her openness, she has shown that despite the pressures of fame, her relationship with Jeremy is grounded in a desire for understanding and partnership, not perfection. The future of Jinger and Jeremy's marriage. Looking ahead, Jinger and Jeremy seem determined to continue working on their relationship. They have both expressed the desire to keep growing as individuals and as partners. Despite the challenges they have faced, they remain committed to one another and to their family. Jinger's growth has been an inspiration to many as she has embraced change while still honoring her core values. The future of their marriage will likely continue to involve navigating the complexities of balancing faith, independence, and partnership. While their marriage might not be without its struggles, Jinger and Jeremy's ability to face challenges together will be a testament to the strength of their relationship. Jinger Duggar Vuolo's journey to finding herself within her marriage has been a process of transformation. From her upbringing in a strict religious environment to her marriage to Jeremy Vuolo, Jinger's life has been marked by a series of challenges